Hello, welcome back to Earth. So far we've mostly just explored very remote, isolated places. So today, I think it's time we check out the complete opposite of that and take a look at Dubai. Now, the first thing that really jumps out at you just from the satellite view is these man-made islands. I don't actually know of any other place in the world where they've just taken sand from the ground and thrown them out to the water and just created more coastline. But when you look up close at these, you can see like some of them are not quite finished. This one seems to be the most done out of all of them. And then you've got like the world islands where they tried to just draw all of the continents, and each little island is supposed to be labeled as a country. But most of this is still empty too. And then you've got a whole other project that isn't quite done. So from what I hear, this was all planned out around like the 90s or maybe the early 2000s. And they got started on it until the big financial crash around 2008. Just like Las Vegas, you have like a lot of these half-built projects that they just haven't gotten back to completely yet. But let's just take a look at the one little island place that was finished. One thing that really stands out to me with this is that, alright, so you got this whole palm tree island thing with the whole ring around the outside, but the only entrance is right over here. So let's say you live like right here on one of the palm aisles, and so you'd have to drive down this highway. You'd have to go all the way through this whole section. I mean, it's really cool. It looks like there's a bunch of shops and hotels and stuff. So you go past all this, and then there's nowhere to turn around or turn left here, so you'd have to go all the way up to about right here, and then come all the way back down. And then look how many houses are on this just dead-end street. I mean, let's see if we can get a street view of what this kind of looks like. Nope, that's not it. Alright, so this is the end of one of those streets. And I mean, it's kind of weird because it looks like just your average neighborhood street right here. You know, it's just houses on both sides, a little bit of parking. I mean, it's clearly a very wealthy area, but you wouldn't expect that right behind every house is part of the Persian Gulf. But then let's even stretch it out a little bit further. So you're going down this road, and then you realize there's actually no roads that go out to this outer ring. This right here, this is just a tram. So people hop in the train, and it takes them across there, but then you have roads with cars, and how did they get out there? Oh, dang, so there's this underwater tunnel, it looks like. Okay, so they actually take an underwater tunnel to get over there. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, then there's this big, long crescent. If you were, like, right on this end, let's say, you know, you can see the coast, but to get back to the mainland, you couldn't just take your car from there to there. You'd have to go all the way back around, go under the tunnel, and then go all the way down this long stretch. I mean, don't get me wrong, this looks like a really cool project that they put together, but man, it's got to be so annoying if you're like staying on one of these hotels. Just trying to get back to the mainland just seems like a massive task. Yeah, let's just look around, because there's like 50 resorts just going all around here. It's just crazy how much money goes into this place. But that's enough for the Palm Jumeirah. Now let's take a look over at the one building we all know of, and that is right over here, the Burj Khalifa. Unfortunately, there's no 3D view of these buildings. For some reason, they just took a 3D picture, but it's on a 2D background. But we could definitely get up in a street view. Alright, so this building is just over half a mile high. It's like 2,700 feet, I think. Like, okay, so right here, we're probably only like 10 floors up, I think. It's really hard to find like these little street view things because they're all just piled onto each other on a flat map. I think it's just so crazy that these massive skyscrapers that are probably 50 or 60 floors high, like you're just looking down on them. Man, I also just think it's crazy how much stuff is packed inside of this building too. I mean, obviously it's like a really popular place, everyone wants to be there. And from what I hear, there's like a big portion of it is from hotel rooms. There's also a lot of businesses here and even like some apartments here. So it's just like a little bit of everything all in this one big tower. And here we are, probably even higher than that last observation deck. It's almost like the view is like you're from a plane, like you're just flying through the sky. I don't know what kind of weather this is, but it gives it a much different vibe when there's this big layer of fog or sand or whatever it is. Man, I would just love to get to explore this building. Whenever I drop in on a street view inside of these, I have no idea what floor we're even on. I mean, clearly there's a lot of ground space, so it's probably one of the lower ones, because obviously it gets narrow as it goes up. But, I mean, if there's this much stuff on one floor, and there's like 170 floors on this place, like who knows how much is hiding around it. Oh no, this is interesting. So we've actually got a space to just walk around. This must be pretty high up on the building. And it's such like a weird shape of a building too. In some ways it's kind of built like a pyramid. But still, you never know how much higher it is from here. Looking down on the city. Yeah, you can see the world from here. Maybe the flat earthers were right. You know, from what I hear, just being able to get into this building to go up and see it from the top has like a really long wait. Sometimes you gotta wait like a few hours in line just to get in. And I'm sure you've got to buy some kind of admission for it too. Well, now here's an interesting picture. Though it wasn't taken very well, you can see the layer of clouds and just the few tall enough buildings poking above them. See, I'm clicking all of these blue dots all around this same area. Sometimes I land outside, like on the ground. Sometimes I land on like an observation deck. And sometimes I just land like in the middle of some fancy shop or whatever. I can't imagine this is a cheap table to sit at, where you've just got hundreds of bottles of wine all around it. Now it looks like we're in some kind of bar. Whoa, looks like I found some kind of nightclub. Is this all in the same building? I mean, it's big enough, it could hold pretty much anything you want. But anyway, let's move away from the Burj Khalifa for a little bit. There's one other very significant place that most people have probably heard of. That is the Burj Al Arab. This is supposedly the only self-proclaimed 7-star hotel in the world. Clearly the rooms are not too cheap, as you would expect. Apparently the most expensive room here can go for like $20,000 a night. Let's see what kind of pictures we got inside. Oh yeah, so this is like from the upper inside atrium. Oh, and now we are probably in the presidential suite. Oh yeah, I think that right up here on the very top floors, that's where the super expensive rooms are. I mean, this is kind of like a crazy layout, how like the entrance to all of the rooms are all just kind of in one big major atrium. I know that a lot of these hotel rooms can be like 12,000 square feet or something like that. That sounds really cool. Like, I'd love to explore. But I mean, I've been in 6,000 square foot houses and felt like those were massive. So something twice that size, like just in an apartment, like on top of a tower like this, that just seems so crazy. Like, all of this is part of the room. I mean, I actually have seen videos. There was the YouTuber, the Stradman, got to go on a tour of this whole place. And so yeah, I've seen a lot of the inside, and it just seems so crazy. And then of course they've got the helicopter pad on top. And of course also it's on its own little man-made island. I think that one of the things that makes this hotel so expensive is that for most of the rooms, you have like your own private servants that will just bring you whatever you want. If you were paying that much for a hotel room, you'd probably spend the entire time in the hotel. Well, now that we've looked at most of the major landmarks, let's just drop into wherever looks interesting. So, next to the Burj Khalifa, there seems to be a lot of other, like, really fancy areas. Yeah, see, there's something just really awesome about when the sky gets dark, but everything around is still being lit up. Just like all of the lighting here just makes it look so cool. Yeah, so this might be the Dubai Mall. Yeah, this is the Dubai Mall. So one thing I love about Las Vegas, I mean, I've never been to Dubai, but I see a lot of similarities between this and Las Vegas, is that there's just such massive buildings, malls. In Las Vegas, there's casinos. I don't know if gambling is allowed here. Something I just love doing in Las Vegas is just wandering through large buildings. Like, I mean, I'm a natural explorer. I love exploring, whether it's through the mountains or whether it's through giant malls or hotels or casinos and stuff like that. Like, stuff like this, I just love wandering aimlessly, just see where it takes me, see what I can find. And we're back outside. You know, Dubai is one of the hottest places in the world. Just being outside in the afternoon like this just looks kind of painful. I mean, they get something like 120 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Alright, so inside of this mall, there's the Dubai ice rink. Like any other mall, just a bunch of shops and restaurants and stuff. You know, when it comes to these street views, you never know what you're gonna get. Because, I mean, anybody can just submit the pictures that they took. And so this one shop decided to show you around the entire thing. So that's just where we ended up. All right, so here we are out on the main highway. You can tell it's the main highway just because of how many lanes are on it. But I mean, there's so many odd buildings. They definitely like to get creative with the architecture around here. And hey, we found an exotic car dealership. This is another thing that's really common around Dubai, I've heard. And also, of course, when you buy them, they're not in US dollars. They're in United Arab Emirates currency. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But as far as exchange rates go, I'm pretty sure you would get these cars much cheaper here than you would find them, like in most Western countries, at least. So, you know, at first glance, the whole city seemed kind of overwhelming to me. Because, I mean, when you look up close, it's so busy. There's so many skyscrapers. But when you really break it down, just the segment that is Dubai is not that overwhelming. So it's just this little section right here, because past it you've got Abu Dhabi and everything else. And it seems like there's just two freeways that go right along the coast here. They're just kind of parallel here. But really, most of it could just be summed up as a very expensive tourist attraction. This is the kind of place where, it would be really fun to go there, but only if you had a lot of money to spend. Everything seems very flashy and looks really cool, but when you don't have the money to actually do anything, it might be a bit of a disappointment. So here's what just the regular neighborhoods look like, just right outside of downtown. I mean, you can definitely tell there's a much different style over here than anywhere I've been. Oh, it looks like over here at Mall of the Emirates, you've got Ski Dubai. Yeah, I've always heard about this, it's a full indoor ski resort. I think that'd be a really interesting place to check out. Because I've only ever snowboarded and skied on real mountains. But what's so interesting here is that outside it could be 120 degrees, and then in here you've got snow. I mean, it's just crazy what they can do just with these climate-controlled areas. It's definitely not quite as big as the real mountains I'm used to riding on, but I definitely want to try something like this one day. And you know, that's just one little section of a mall. That probably takes up less than a quarter of the mall for the ski resort. That's not something I've ever seen in a mall around my place. Man, these malls are more like palaces. This is why I'm kind of surprised that they don't actually have casinos. Because, that's where Las Vegas brings in all their money. Yeah, they have a lot of malls too, but they're more just for show, I think. Wow, that's really weird. I don't think I've ever seen, a grocery store in the middle of a mall either. Yeah, that is kind of a strange look, having, all of this, and then with the checkouts, and then go right back into the halls, where there's just shops across the way. Man, I feel like you could just get lost around this mall for hours. Man, what always stands out to me on this map over here is Bounce Middle East. Let's see what's inside. Even in the rich desert tourist area, you still have your trampoline parks. That's good to know. But I think I'm going to call it there. It does seem like it's a little bit more difficult to explore a city on Google Maps rather than parts of nature. Just because of how dense the whole area is, it's hard to know where the actual good places to look for are. But Dubai is definitely an interesting place, that's for sure. But anyways, thanks to everybody for watching. I do plan on trying out live streaming later tonight. So Friday evening, probably around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Plan for that. And we will see how it goes. So I'll talk to you guys then.